Hello everybody! This is our first live stream with the new OBS system. Hello! So how are you? Oh, I figured a lot of people are going to be a little confused with the time change because Mark was running around changing it. It was like, what are we supposed to be doing? It felt a little uncomfortable. But I'm echoing. Could it just be hers, or should we turn the microphone down? No. Mark is running upstairs to check, so he'll be right there. But this is pretty cool right now. I'm going to echoing like crazy. Oh, good. Let Mark see what's going on. Like I have two microphones. Georgette, send me
Yep, she's right. It is got a weird background echo.
Send me an email. Is there another microphone?
No.
Competing?
Not that I know of. Hang on, gals. We'll be right back to you. All right, gals, is it still happening with the echo? Remember, it takes a second for that. Y'all, is it still happening with the echo?
It is, yes.
How about now? Can you still hear us?
Is there an echo? Yes.
That's not that fast. Hang on. See. Okay, so this,
all right,
you keep
let's see how it goes. We're learning about all of this. Mark's going to run upstairs, check it too. But I'm so excited with this new system. I'm going to show you what all I've got going on down here, and hopefully sounds good now. Yay! Okay. No. How is it now? Oh, goodness. We have done a couple run-throughs, but I'm not, while it's good now? Okay, I turned the sound way down. Okay, that seems to be the key. Turning the sound, okay. Ah, yay, I turned the sound down. It wanted to be back up.
I'll bet you they can't hear you now.
No, I think they can. They've got it's good now. Why are you...
Try it now.
Okay, now Mark made another change. How is it now? Oh, yay! Okay. It is so nice having such a smart man to help me work through this, because he's done it all. Between my son, who made how-to videos for the OBS system, and my amazing Mark, they made this happen. I sat down and they showed me things. So this is great. This is our new system, and I'll show you why. Oh, yay. Thank you, everyone. And Josos, thank you. You have really stepped up in that moderator position. It means everything. And our Marcia is so great with her. I feel like she's our color commentator and our spirit girl. So between the two of you, I am so taken care of. Thank you. Hi, Michelle the Quilter. All right, so now I'm going to change cameras. Watch how easy. I have 2 cameras now. And watch how easy I do this. I'm going to change camera and then use that camera to show you all that I've got set up. Okay? So here, it'll come right in a second. Oh, thank you. Joe, you do so. Okay. Now can you hear me? Do we have 2 sound? It supposedly is just picking up the Canon camera. Good point. Miss Joe's right smart with computer stuff too. That is super. Now I'm going to bring... Sound is back. Good. I think I was kind of talking in front of the second camera. Hi, Georgette. So, okay. I wanted to say something. I know this is our happy place, but sometimes we just have to say things. I think the way that Mr. Zelensky was bullied is despicable. And I wanted to bring back out our Ukrainian flag to say that 83% of Americans supporting Ukraine, and the administration is absolutely wrong. So, and you know what? It's better to deal with a bully early and in his own home, because it's going to come back to bite us. So, and it's sad to think that our administration is aligning themselves with China and Russia and Iran and treating our wonderful, long-standing allies like crap. So there it is. Now we'll go back to having fun. But it really bothers me. And we support Ukraine. I still have the flag I made of Ukraine hanging from my front porch. It has faded because now it's been, 3 years? 2 or 3 years? But it's going to stay there until things get better. So, now I'll step off my soapbox so we can have some more fun. We're all human beings and we're all in this together. And isolationism is not going to help anyone. And we're all a big world, and we all get products and supplies from everywhere. Oh, thank you, Mitty, for finding that. Thank you, Miss Mitty. All right. So today we've got tons of stuff. And we've got this new OBS system, which I think you're going to like a lot. And no more of this camera work that'll make you nauseous. So I've got 2 monitors, so I might be a little slow today, but just give me a moment. I've been practicing, but it's a whole new ball game, and I'm just so tickled that we have this now. Okay, so today, don't forget, if you want a free mystery pattern, and it's always nice if you can buy her a cup of coffee, make a small donation, because she's a lovely lady who does this all on her own. And okay, so I think the whole, just going back to where I said I wouldn't, but the whole bullying up on Zelensky was part of a payback, because remember when Trump, the first time around, tried to get Zelensky to pretend that there was some bad, nefarious stuff going on with the Bidens? So I think that was good payback. But anyway, what can we say? But thank goodness our European allies have rallied around him. All right, so today, right now, is going, they have, hold on, let me try to say it one more time, at Merry Mayhem, MERRY, Mayhem Mystery is going on right now. And I was thinking, I'm afraid to bring it up. I don't want to jinx anything. But if everything's going good towards the end, I'll bring you up the shortcut. You can go on, I think you have to sign up for your email, but that's all, and you can get all of the information and patterns, but you have to get it, better get it before midnight tonight. And because then I think you have to pay. So, and I did one of hers for New Year's. I'm currently not doing it because I couldn't wait to show y'all this stuff. Oh, thank you, Miss Jo. Oh, Woman's Day. Yay, we love that. So, and then what we're going to do, and I think you got a Hi Handsome from Mare. Marin, California, Mark.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
He said thank you. But anyway, I wanted to we have something fun to do today. We have a free pattern for a shamrock. No sound when I switched cameras. Thanks. Okay. Thank you. And there's no sound. If I put on the screen that says adjustment moment, there's no sound on that. The starting screen, no sound, and no sound on the ending screen. So just so you know, there's only sound. There's supposed to be sound when we're doing the detail, and there's supposed to be sound when I'm right here with you. But I've cut out that. I was a couple minutes late because I was cutting out all of the parts for the shamrock quilt. So I'll be showing you that a bit later. And then the sparrow quilt is still on the frame. I was so busy this week. I was trying. I couldn't get it. I only got one more row done, and that's a 6-row quilt. So I'm only a third of the way there. Then I've got the stencil quilt here, and I've got a few border ideas picked out, and I'm going to get you to help me choose what you like best. Then I made a lot of progress. A lot. In fact, I'll give you a little hint. Let me see watch how easy this is for me to do now. Okay.
You may lose sound. Make it, yeah, there it is.
Now can you hear me? So how do we, is there a way to make that work?
I'll have to look at it after you
And the Canon microphone thing is unlocked. Where it was locked before. Okay.
That's not a big deal.
Oh, good for you. Okay, let me go back to the, so now I'll just check that.
Now, if you go back to the main camera, you may have echo.
Okay, let's see. There's no sound now, she says. Or, no, then Georgette said yes. Oh, yep, they hear me now. So at first they didn't until you pushed it.
Right.
Okay, now we should have sound because the sound bar was showing. Thank you for telling us. Joe So's seems really good with computers. We noticed that when I switched to the detail camera, where it says audio mixer, it had a red X. So we clicked that. Hopefully we've solved that problem. But I think I'm going to like this. And I like the picture. In fact, do you notice I had to start cleaning the room because it echoes back now.
So now click that red thing again.
Click the red thing again? Like this?
Yep, and now you won't have echo here, but you won't have sound there. There's something about the way you set up the sound yesterday that...
Okay, I think we just turned off the sound button. Can you hear me now? This is really tricky. There's so many little things that can go wrong. Good, good. Everything's sounding good. Yay. Yay. Okay. That's the one thing. Anytime you upgrade to a better program, you get more problems. And Mark has been working on this for 2 solid weeks. It's like on A-B switch, Mark, Joso said?
No.
Okay. All right.
Just we'll figure it out after you're done. But
okay.
About...
Yay. All right. So the narrow strip, I am enjoying working on it. Surprise, huh? And then, I've got to tell you this. So I was working on the narrow strip landscape. Every strip I sewed on, I'll tell him. Thank you. Marcia, you can't imagine. To me, it looks like a cockpit that a pilot would run. There is so much going on and so much information and like 8 steps to start it. But Bonnie knows, give me time, I'll get it. It's just going to take a little bit of time. But, okay, so I was enjoying working on my narrow strip landscape. But every time I sewed on another row of a narrow strip, it started puckering and gathering. Does anyone know what I forgot to do? I had my piece of muslin. I had drawn my pattern on it, but there was echoing again. But there was... Mark's upstairs, so he might be messing with a couple things. But does anyone know what I failed to do that would cause me, as I sewed strips across the muslin, for it to gather? Yes, Joe. Yes. I had forgotten to put on fusible. I had forgotten to put on fusible interfacing on the back. So I had to take out about 15 rows carefully, because, you know, they're all pieced and they're very narrow. Good, no echo. Good. And I had to take all those out, keeping them in order, because once you mess with them, whoa. Then I ironed on 2 layers of the fusible interfacing, then sewed each one, making sure they stayed in their order, sewed each one back on with invisible thread. And I've got to tell you this, good. Okay, take care, sweetie. Nice seeing you, Bonnie. So, I got to tell you that I was using this cheap monofilament, the nylon kind, which is you want polyester. Nylon has too much stretch and it wants to break anytime you pull on it too much. But my new machine upstairs, and I'll show you here kind of how to do it to try to make it a little easier. And but my machine, that new machine upstairs, is handling the nylon monofilament like a pro. I had no problems. So I don't even know. I've got the good monopoly on this machine, and I'm not even sure how it's going to do down here. The only tricky thing is, how do you tell if you've sewn or not? You have to kind of have a good light shining behind the machine so you can see the glint off of the monopoly. So I'm going to show you that. Then Miss Mary, I thought of you. She inspired me when she has a picture of her latest block. So I got out, this is block 14, that was a dilly of a block. Okay, Georgette, it was so good seeing you, and if you have sent your email address to my email address I gave you, I will make sure to send you the picture of the pattern and the pictures I use for inspiration. I'll get that out to you today. So, but here is my block 14. I finished it, and I really like it. It was a tricky block, let me tell you. And it's been ironed within an inch of its life. So, there is, I have 2 blocks left. And I'm so anxious because this is going to be this year's English paper piecing. It is from Yellow Rose Quilt Company. And it's named Ruby Lane. And Lisa's going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to try to talk Miss Mary into doing this. And anybody else wants to go, see me or go to the Yellow Rose Quilt Store. It's wonderful because you can download it. I love instant patterns. Thank you. Thank you. So, okay, now let me see. Then I have the newest stitches on the hand embroidery. I look like a 5-year-old doing it. So that, it's worth the comedy, if nothing else. But I have it back in the corner, and we'll work on that today. And then the most exciting thing is I got my order from Marshall Dry Good Shop. I am so excited. So I'm going to show you this. With this pattern comes a coloring chart, which I'm going to make good use of. And since we're right here and we all love new fabric, now Mark was kind of surprised, but I decided with the other one, I always knew once I started that one in class, I knew I'd want to make another one. The colors I picked out I thought I would like, but one of the main colors wasn't quite the shade I was wanting. And then I watched somebody in class using Stonehenge fabrics, and it was gorgeous, so that gave me an idea. So now, watch what I'm going to do. This is what is so cool. Let me make sure I can hear you. So, let me come to the other camera, and I will check to make sure you can still hear it. You got new ribbon, yay! Good job, Marcia. And let me see. I ordered this fabric on Monday and it was here by Friday. Off this. Now, hopefully, you can still hear me. All right. So let me show you what I got. And this is a lot of fabric, but I was thinking of doing more of a natural coloration, but using the, you can hear, yay! But a natural configuration, but using what the Marshall's Dry Goods has that's comparable to okay, let me see. It's comparable to Stonehenge, but are you ready for this? I want you, let me see if they have, look at these prices, people. Oops, look at these prices. And I'm waiting for it to be less blurry. It might not, but it's $4.99 a yard. Yeah, that stayed blurry. This is going to be, I've decided since I'm doing this kind of naturally, that I'm going to make the leaves 3 different tones of green. So this is the one color that starts me off, and I have plenty of other greens to add to it. Then my favorite colors are jewel tones. So here is a dark blue for parts of the bird. Then I needed a background with a yellow in it. I think this one, hold on. Yes, this is the background with yellow. And it might not look very yellowy to y'all, but it looks more yellowy in person. Hi, Dolores. Welcome to our new OBS system. So it's easy now to switch cameras. Then this is a, it's a purpley, but it's a pinky purpley, and that's going to be for some of the birds. This is the background. I wanted them to be in a sky background with the green leaves in the corners. So this is 4 yards of background. At $4.99 a yard, that is pretty good. So, and I'll probably go back to them for the backing, because their backing starts at $9.99 for 108 inches wide. Then I've got to have some cardinal inspired birds. Then here is some bright yellow that I had from another project I did a while back, and I may add this in, but I'm not sure. I don't want it to be too bright. Then this is going to be, what is this going to be? I don't remember, but it's another nice shade for this grouping. Here is a dark natural. I had to get some of these colors so that it would look more grounded. It would look more like the inspiration photo that I'm choosing. So this is for the darker areas of the bird. I might do all of their tails in this color. I'm not sure. Then this is to go with the blues, because blues are my favorite color. It's almost, my blues have a little hint of a turquoise in them. Not too much, but a little hint. And so this is going to be a main color. I was noticing in this inspiration, look at all the different shades of blue. So, and look at this, it's got more pattern. So I can use, I don't have to just use 4 fabrics. And then this is a very light shade, because when you do something really light, it'll kind of pop. So it is a bluish gray, and I think it'll give it a good pop. I bought them, let me show you, from my favoriteest place. You know, Pineapple Fabrics is gone now, but let me show you. It's whoops, let me try to get it up here. Marshall Dry Goods. And it's in Batesville, Arkansas. But Marshall Dry Goods, I am so pleased, and the fabric feels wonderful. 258 West Main Street, Batesville, Arkansas. And let me tell you, just go online, type in on your Google machine, type in Marshall Dry Goods, and you will get there. And I just was so pleased with the prices. And the shipping, I mean, they were right on this. So, I've decided that when I go to the retreat, this is going to be the main thing I work on. And I'm going to see if I can get this made. But I've never done this before, but I'm going to do this coloring page. That way, it'll help me figure out what I like best. And I might print out, I think what I'll do is print out a couple in case I make boo-boos. But that was from Marshall Dry Goods. Okay, and we're sad now. I feel bad about Joanne's closing. Now watch how easy it is to go back to looking at you again. Here. There. All right. I think I turned off the microphone, so hopefully no weird noises. Okay. So the next thing let's do is I'm going to show you the fabrics that I chose for all of the Joanne fabrics are closing. It's kind of sad. But, okay, let me turn this way. And this is my I did not want to wake up. I was so tired this morning. My stencil quilt, where I took a stencil and I mixed white acrylic paint with some baking soda to make it thicker, and then took a sponge brush and painted over the stencil, and that way it left the stencil design. I've got to tell you guys, it's one of our favorites. Mark and I both love this. So, okay. So what I'm going to do now is move some things down, and I'm going to show you the choices for the border fabric for this. So I'm going to lay it out here, and then have you help me by voting. You might want to have a little piece of paper to, will it be washable? It should be. I've ironed it numerous times, and it should be, but I'm not going to guarantee it. And my quilts very rarely get washed because I hang them on the wall. So now I'm going to go over to the new detail camera. Where's my mouse? Since I have two monitors, the laptop monitor and then the other one, it's like making sure that the cursor's right here. All right, ready? Let's go. Thank you. Sorry about that. Okay, so this one, it's a small enough pattern. When I see it through the camera, it's not showing me enough of the different colors. Now here's a cute fabric. It's a crayon fabric. That might work. Hopefully you can hear me now. I turned on the sound.
Yeah. That's a cork right now. It should not last forever. Mm-hmm. You're having to do the switching of the sound. Mm-hmm. Is something in this particular setup today. We're going to fix that.
Yeah. I'm not worried. I'm remembering. Oops. Okay. So this one actually is a pretty good possibility. So I'll put that in the maybe pile. This one, I don't know. I don't like it. Again, I think it's too small and the print gets muddied. So I'm going to take and throw that one out. Here's a really cool, I don't know if it's a case facet or what, but it's really awesome. I don't know how much I have of that. But you know what? That's a kind of maybe too. I'll put that with the maybe pile. Then here is it. This one is one of those, let's see right here. This is fossil fern. It's one of the, what is the name? It's by Bernitex, and it's one of the fossil prints. So here is this one. I'm not sure, but it's not, I'm not getting excited, but it's not a no. So I'll put that still in the maybe. Then I have this one. You know what? I'm surprised. I didn't think I would like that at all, but that just might work. And it's a little darker. I'm trying to hold it up so you can see. But that one just might work. I want something that it has a definite voice but doesn't overpower the quilt. I don't know. Alright, so our four choices are this stripe. This is a white stripe, or white edge stripe. This is more of a blended stripe. This is rainbow batik. This is, I'm wondering if this is K facet. I wish I had more of it. But this is, let's call it a rainbow flower. And here is the crayons. So, what is your feeling about, you like the mottled stripe, which I guess is this one. Okay, we've got a voice for this one. And Mary's leaning towards this one too. That was pretty good, wasn't it? And it's darker than it seems, so it even looks better in person. Okay, anybody else have a choice? Anybody else? Aha, okay. So Marsha's liking the K facet, okay. Can I put it more on the screen? Let me see. I wish, let me see if I can pull it this way. Here we go. How wide? I have no idea, but probably not too wide. Maybe 3-4 inches at the most. So I'm going to line up. Ah, that's sweet. Okay. Okay, Charlene, and is it this stripe that you're liking too? I wish I could show it darker. The thing I like about this stripe too is it's not a very definite pattern. The crayons are nice too. Yeah, I did like those too. Alright, so it looks like right now these are the 3 that are in contention. And I will put these in the... Now, you know what's funny? When you're just looking at them without putting them together, I thought, well, this would be it because there's white in... Yep, everybody's saying the blended stripe. But this, it just washed out compared. And like I said, I don't want it to overtake. I don't want it to overtake the quilt. But at the same time, I want it to add to the quilt. Alright, so right now it looks like this one is going to have it. And I think it'll be really pretty. And then you know what I'll do is what I'll do is I will then put a black binding. So it'll go from the black to the blended stripe, okay, or Yeah, you know what? There is a problem with that. When I look at it this way, yes, it looks like it's kind of competing. So I don't want it to compete. Where if it doesn't have a very strong... Yep. I'm leaning with y'all with the strike too. Okay, very good. Thank you so much, because this is one where I knew I wanted it to be bigger, but how much bigger? So, Mark came down and told me we'll work out the glitch in the microphone. But you know what? I'm loving this new system so much that I don't care. It's, you know, but so here again, I wish you could see this. For some reason it's washing out in the camera, but it has a kind of Southeast Asian feel to it that we like. I don't know, it's just, this didn't cost me anything. All the fabrics were from the stash, and just white paint, some inexpensive, the stencils were like $3 and something, and it just took white paint and baking soda. And the reason you add the baking soda is to make it a little thicker so that the paint won't slip under the stencils. So, okay. That is very good. And we know that we have been looking at Miss Bonnie's Carolina Lily wall hanging. I found this in, let me see, what year was this? I think it was like 99 or 97. And the article was written by Debbie Cradaville, who I love her quilts. And I remember she was very big then. But look at that. Looks like our Bonnies. So I just thought I would show you that. Oh, that you're right. See, it does. It does have that stencil quilt does give a slight Asian feel, which I love. Okay, it wasn't planned that way, but it works pretty good. So now we're doing pretty good here on the list. And let me see, got this. And oh, I wanted to tell you, so I'm cleaning out the studio. And why is it so hard for us to throw things away? I mean, honest to goodness, seriously. So, the other day I threw away a pincushion. And I think I got it off a prize table at something, or a free table. I cut the buttons off, saved the buttons, and threw the pincushion away. Now, the buttons were cool, because I wish I'd had these buttons back when our Melanie was looking for them, or looking for big buttons. But that's a pretty cool button, so I cut those off. But I said, do I need another pincushion? No. And it was this big. And that's just, I'm almost full to the brim as it is, you know? But this is what I wanted to show you. And I can do this now because it's so easy to change cameras. But, whoops. Let me show you this. Okay. And I'll get faster at changing them. Okay, these are fabric tape measures. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Why does anyone need fabric? Oh, now that's a good idea, Miss Mary. But why does anyone need 7 fabric tape measures. I mean, honestly. Now, this one has a neat history. Do you see this? I was in a quilt guild back in Maryland before. This was probably 28 years ago I made this. And what we did is we took a piece of ribbon, this is a grosgrain ribbon, we hand embroidered little flowers in a border, and then we put it on, we sewed it on the end of a fabric tape measure. And then we put a button there, and on this end it used to have a loop on the other end. So that when you rolled up your tape measure, I had it all rolled up yesterday, but you know they have a party in the drawer once you've turned out the lights. And so it was no longer nicely rolled up by this morning. So let me quickly, this is where if I had fast forward, I could save time, but quickly roll it up. You know, that was the one flaw. I think that's why everyone likes the little boxed tape measures. You push a button and it rolls back in. But then when you got to this, you ran it around and it met up the thread loop. Whoops, let me get back in the camera. The thread loop on this end went around the button. And that way you had a nice, pretty tape measure. But now we see the flaws, because even when you use it, you've got to wind all this stuff back up. So I'm going to make a decision and keep one. Blue's my favorite color, and these need to go. I mean, who needs these? I maybe use a fabric tape measure once every blue moon. There we go. So those are going to get thrown away. This will go back in the drawer. Okay. So those are the kind of decisions I'm going to be making, because I always like to think. Something happens to me. What would somebody say when they came in here? So it's like, oops, that's a good point. Okay, so I'm going to be doing a lot of that kind of stuff in this room. I look back at some of the early videos 7 years ago, not 8, 7 years ago, and the room was so clean. And it's like, wow, I've got to sort through some of this, because not everything's worth keeping. If you, if you want to make the shamrock block, then go to let me get on the chat button. It's free, because I found it, like most of you probably who found it, on the Quilt Show newsletter. So blog.figtree and I'm sorry, I'm on all caps, it doesn't need to be .com. So if you go to figtreeandcompany.com, then just look for the shamrock. Over on the right, you'll see them mentioning different things that are on there. You can get your own free copy. So that's fun. All right, so we talked about that. We'll make the shamrock block in a minute after we do show and tell. Then we did the border choices. Okay, so all right, I'm doing pretty good. Now we're going to go over and I'm going to talk to you about how I'm doing the narrow strip Seascape. I've been calling it landscape, but it's really Seascape. Okay. Let me get my stuff set up. And then we'll come right over. Okay, so here we are. And let me explain to you what we're doing. Okay? What I did is I used the inspiration picture of this to get this part of the sky done. Then after that, I'll use this and this. I also use this inspiration photo to do the trees. Whoops. Whoop. Gotta be careful, Deb. Okay. Here are the tree leaves. Now, if you're curious, how did I put these tree leaves on? I'll tell you. I took and cut 1/2-inch strips of a Jenny Beyer mottled fabric. Let me turn, maybe turning that off might help. Whoops. I'm not sure that helped, but here is, it was a Jenny Beyer mottled fabric. I took and cut 1/2-inch strips, then took and cut them in kind of triangles down the full length. Then I took some of the Steam-A-Seam 2 that I like to use and put it, decided where I wanted those leaves to be, and put the Steam-A-Seam 2 here, then lifted off the paper so the sticky was showing, and I, one at a time, put the triangles, one at a time, put the triangles. Let me see. I'm still working out my lighting here, but one at a time, put triangles in place on top of the Steam-A-Seam 2. Okay? And trying to leave an uneven edge. And then I put the iron down and ironed everything in place. I may go back over this with invisible thread and just kind of do a gentle zigzag over it so that it will stay. So this is called, not graffiti. What is the term? Confetti. This is considered confetti work, where you use tiny little pieces to get the feeling of the leaves. Then I was so excited to have so many rows done that I went ahead and cut out my birds. Now, the inspiration photo had 4 birds on it, but I like doing things in odd numbers. I feel like it feels a little more natural. So here was the inspiration photo birds. See, there were 4, but I put 5. So all I did for that was I used Steam-A-Seam 2 again. Well, here's a sheet of it. It's the one that has the yellow grid on it. And I just took and laid the black fabric here, then drew the bird shape out here, peeled off the paper, put it on, and did a gentle ironing. Do not over iron. If you've ever over ironed it, all of a sudden it'll lift off, because all of the glue that was on the back of the black fabric will sink into the background and then they won't stick. So you do just enough to get a nice good hold, but not too much. If you do too much, then you're going to have to put new Steam-A-Seam on the back of your bird. Try it again. So just remember that. So I am excited about this next part because I'm very anxious to use lame to help look like the gold sun ripples in the water. And you'll see this one and you'll see this one. These are my two inspirations for the water. A really interesting thing when I was working on this, because I tend to forget if I don't do it enough in time, but you see how the top of the sky is darker and it gets paler and paler as it gets to the horizon. Look what the water does. It is lighter and it gets darker and darker as it gets towards your eye. So remember that. Those are little things, and each of these pictures just show that effect. Even this one here. And I only use this one for the leaves. But remember, the sky starts out dark at the top and fades down till it gets to the horizon. Then is light here and darkens as it gets closer to you. Okay? So now, what I would do is I looked at my pattern, I looked at the inspiration picture, and I'm going to tell you, I have altered this. I was having so much fun with the sky and trying to get that hidden sunset, slightly shielded sunset. I was having so much fun with that I went down a little farther than the picture I first drew. So instead of stopping my sky here, I went down to here. And so understand, you can change your pattern that I drew up, change it whichever way you want. I did try shortening some of, they were all supposed to be 1/2 inch, but I tried shortening some of them so I wouldn't go too far down. But just so you'll know. Now, let me put my lame over here. I was afraid of this, but I wanted to show you how I did it. But I was afraid these would get messed up, which they are getting. Because what I did is I looked at my inspiration photo, taking into account that I chose this gray because when you look at the inspiration photo, it's not really a discernible color. And so I just used a mottled gray, which I thought did a pretty good job of giving you that, is it this, is it that? You don't know. So, here we go. So then the next row I said, well, I want to start with a light color. I wanted to choose a fabric. Here's for the sunset. Because it continues and it widens out. And actually, you notice in here I did a short one because it actually narrows in just a tiny little bit. And I get so in the zone. So here is, I'm going to move these down carefully so I don't mess them up too much. But this row, and I just take a strip of fabric, I tuck it under because I don't want raw edges showing. So I've got part of the light blue with enough dots in it to start giving you an idea that it's got little ripples in the water. And because of the inspiration, this orange really fanned out. Here is the blue. And let me see. Let me look back at this. And I think, okay. It's not this piece because, see the angle on that? I wonder if I accidentally dropped a piece of fabric somewhere. Aha, here it is. Okay, whoops, nope, that's not it either. I was going to go ahead and, no. The angles I cut are the same. So, the piece I guess it's this. Okay, yep. Okay, here we go. Okay, so here is that first row. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick it up and keep it in order like this and take it over to the sewing machine and sew it together. So let me move over here, get my sewing machine started, bring the camera over, okay, I'm going to take off this monopoly, put back on regular stitching thread for this. So remember, when you start any kind of collage work, cutting and whatever, put it fusible interfacing on. Did this come unplugged? Yeah. Let me plug my sewing machine. I was cleaning up the desk. I was looking to see what is it they can see here and trying to clean up the area. So now let me try turning it on. Okay. Oh, it still wasn't plugged in. There we go. Alright, now it's on. Okay. Let me get this thread threaded. Alright. Okay, now I take my first piece of fabric. Let me bring you in here a little bit closer. I get my first piece of fabric. Let me bring this lighting back a little. And I open up where I had folded it under. I take my second piece, open that up, and you notice how I try to cut them pretty similar angles, but see how this one has to get placed, but you line up the angles correctly. And then I'm going to bring the stitch length down on this a little. Alright, whoops, I forgot my new sewing machine. I don't have to drop the feed I don't have to drop the foot down. Alright, so now I've sewn those two pieces together. I'm getting my iron warmed up. I'm going to then take and finger press this over. In fact, I have a wooden iron right here. But see how it's not a perfect lineup, but it's good enough, and I'll show you why. Alright, now then I line this one to match angles and kind of make sure that the folded line creases kind of touch, because that way you'll know you've got it higher or lower. You've got it vertically correct, the two pieces together. Because people can get very confused with, and this is only going to be a 1/2 inch showing, but, and fabric is very, how do I say it? Fabric is very, flexible. So if you're sewing it on, see how that's curving a little bit? Don't worry about that, because as you sew it, you can pull it straight. So then the next piece is this one. And you just have to put it so these ends line up and the folds touch. Because that way you'll know. See how this fold kind of touches that fold. So I know I'm in the right place. And I just put it back under my needle. And I only do like 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch. Somewhere between 1/8 and 1/4. And now that one kind of came a little bit lower. See how it took a little bit of a jog down? But that's not a problem. I'm going to re-iron it and it'll be fine. So this, just have fun. Don't stress out. Art quilting, to me, has a measure of playfulness and freedom in it that I don't get from pieced quilts with a pattern. You've got to follow that pattern pretty good. But with art quilts, you are in the driver's seat. And see, I'll just do that. Fold it back down like this and iron it, and it'll be great. Alright, so then I have this piece. Now, before I go to sew this on, I'm going to iron it as straight as I can get it, because you don't want to be tugging on it once you start sewing it in place, because that will cause the quilt to want to wrinkle up just a touch. So now I only have one piece left. I'm going to put this together. Alright. And stitch this. Whoops. What did I do? Let me see. Oh, okay. Alright. So here I go. Now, let me, I'm going to bring you on back around here. This camera is so lightweight. It is a dream. Alright, I'm going to bring my iron up and iron this. Again, ironing really keeps the job simple. And as I come along, I make sure that it's pretty even, sometimes having to make a new fold. But, oops, see where this goes up? Come back and tuck that under a little bit more. Alright, now let me do this end. Okay, tuck this. Tuck. See how I kind of just retuck it to make sure it's a nice straight line, and you want it turned up nice and high, and then just go along. Whoops, this didn't get tucked under good enough. Hold on. Let me tuck this under. I want it to be as straight a line as possible. And during your iron, you kind of work out any little kinks. So now what I'm going to do is take all of this over to the sewing machine. I think I'm missing one of these. I'll have to work these back out. That's the one tricky thing, is I wanted to have strips to show you how to do it, but they easily get confused. So now, I'll bring this over here. The camera will come too. I love this new little camera. It's nice and little and wonderful. And I'm going to put on the monopoly and hope that it will sew without giving me any trouble. The biggest thing I suggest to you, until your machine gets used to it, is sew slowly. Take your time. Let you and the machine adjust. So here, it's like gossamer. It's just so light. Okay. Here we go. Making sure. Make sure if there's any problem with your monopoly thread unwinding, because that would cause a problem. And this, I don't recommend using the threader. I'll try it once just to see, but a lot of times it's too delicate. Ah, well, it worked. A lot of times I just have to end up putting it through the needle myself. And it's going to look like it's going to look like I'm doing nothing here, because you just aren't going to be able to see it. Now let me bring the camera down and put it right here. All right, here, and I just roll this excess like this, and I'm going to put this in place. Now, I do pin my fabric in place because this center of the sun has to be at the right place. So I'll put it just under a 1/2 inch. It looks pretty even, and I like using flat pins to pin this because it will lay nice and straight. Okay? Alright, so now I'm going to come put this here. I'm going to find the line where it's supposed to line up, which it looks like since I've gone skinnier, they don't quite exist much, but I find the thickness that I want here. And if you get your first few rows on, and be careful with the ends. Some of my ends I had to take loose and sew them again, because starting and finishing, sometimes you tend to be a little sloppy about keeping it straight. And so I had to go back and fix them, because I didn't want the whole thing looking like the curve of the earth. I wanted it to be pretty straight. So now I've got the center matching. Let's see. Okay. Yep, it's still doing. All right. Sometimes when I'm sewing, I'll take a glance at the line of the thread and just see if the monopoly thread is jiggling. If it's moving at all, then that means it's still working. It's still sewing. Take out the pin. Okay. Kind of get it lined up so you can make sure. And with these lines, it's pretty easy to line up. I like to put a lot of things behind my sewing machine, but it's not a good habit, because then as pieces like this go through, they bump up against all the junk that's back there, and then it makes it hard for me to sew a straight line. Okay, and anytime that the fabric goes too far off the edge, then just take and give it a little trim. And have it go longer. Where the lines stop is kind of the edge where I'm going to eventually cut it. So I let them drag over about a 1/2 inch or so. But you don't have to worry about it, because you will take and even it up at the end using a ruler to make sure you have a nice square quilt. Or rectangular, you know what I mean by square, is having the edges meet correctly. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to the main cam and put this back over here and show you the last strip we put on. And another thing I do too, to keep it, whoops, my bobbin thread was coming with me. I didn't make sure that was cut. One thing that I do is bring it over to the ironing table and make sure, pull it a little bit in case it's got any, if at all it acts like it wants to pull in, then just iron it flat. And it's kind of what I call manhandling your fabric, but you have to because you're the boss of this, and the fabric must obey. So you can do a lot. That's where it's funny. You start to paint a picture with, now you can see the sunset here, and it's coming out across the water. So now hopefully you're seeing what it, and part of the joy of this is not everything lines up perfectly. It's not like doing straight collage quilting where you can cut all different shapes and fuse them down. This one, everything has to be on a strip. So let me come a little closer and show you. Everything has to be in a strip, except for the birds and the leaves. But this is a very good practice. And let me tell you, because it has you look at color and design differently and figure out, how can I add these little clouds along that strip? A couple of times where it was really important, I would have a partial strip added on because I couldn't wait till the next half an inch. But I really like this, and I hope you do too. Oops. Sorry, I forgot. I'm going to go back to... Okay. So, I went back to this one. Alright. But, let me show you where a couple of times like right here, there's 2 strips in that half an inch because I needed a color change right there. And see here where I would kind of add a strip, and then right here I added a strip. But for the most part, I really try to do everything as simply as possible, keeping everything in half-inch strips. But I think we're getting there. I think we're getting there. I am really enjoying it. There's something very, the thing I think I like the most about it, all I have to worry about is that next strip. Let me see if I can find, here's the one that I was using as an inspiration as well. Okay, page 2, I want page 3. And that should be page 1. Okay. But all you have to worry about is what's in this half-inch line. And here's where 3 and 4 go together. So you just have to concentrate on that one line. And it's really peaceful. I found myself yesterday not wanting to quit. And then I have to decide how I'm going to put these on. I put fusible on the back. I'm not sure if it's going to hold it good enough. But I'm going to be, I might even cut these even thinner. But I think that they're going to be wonderful. So, and what I did to make this is I took and crunched up the lame and even crunched it up and put the iron on top to kind of bake in some of these lines. Okay? Because if you look at the inspiration, do you see how wrinkly it looks? This one is amazing, but that would be so hard to cut tiny little pieces like that. So then I took, once I crinkled it and pressed in all of the creases, I took and put it on the sticky side of Steam-A-Seam 2, and then I can cut them as I need, peel off the back, and put them where I want to put them. But these will come after I've gotten the basics in. I thought I would take a moment and show you, let me put all these away, but I love the idea of adding the metallic. Now, let's say you want to add little touches more, then you could use gold metallic thread, and you can do some thread painting over it before you quilt it. So I'm going to do these. I might even do some of the seagrasses by hand embroidery. This is a wonderful fabric. That is the ugliest. I mean, in my day we called that butt ugly. That is the ugliest fabric. But boy, is that a landscaper's dream fabric. So you'd be surprised, the ones that work. But anyway, this was the gray I used, and believe it or not, I have a feeling you'll believe it, it's a Jenny Buyer. So, of course, I love my Jenny Buyer fabrics, and I find that they are the hands-down favorite for, favorite for doing landscapes. And I'm just sad I'll never be able to get enough of them. This, I thought, I was looking for watertight fabric, and this has some murkier areas, and as with any landscape fabric working, there are two different sides. Look how murky this is. This might be perfect for up close to the dock or near the edges where it goes under the dock. So I pulled this one out. This one is the one I'll be using next, and I needed something that would look like moving water, and I thought this was a pretty good one. Then there are some areas where I get close, where you get really close to me. This is a wonderful batik, ombre batik, and it's got everything from super light to super dark, so I can take and cut strips. I am so glad I bought this. At the time you think, I don't know what I can do with it, but now this has become one of my best go-tos with both sky and water. Alright, so that I will be using as it gets closer up here. As I said, these lighter colors, I'll do about two more rows and then have it slowly darken, which I can do with this fabric very easily. I can gradually darken it, especially since I only need to cut like 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches. And then, are you ready for this? This is one that I'm going to be using very soon. I don't know if this is supposed to be a wood block batik, but is this great? And it even has some of the orange in it, so it would look really good on either side of the sunset. Let me see if you can see that little bit of orange. So, you know, when you look for fabric, especially if you like art quilting, just look at what is possible for this to do. I can cut a light patch here. It's got some darker areas. It's got some more of the orangey brown. And it's got movement. And that's what I need to put my lame on, is that movement. Alright, because if water wasn't moving, I wouldn't have all the lame. I couldn't even use it because the reason the water looks so gold, like liquid gold, is because they're little tiny waves that reflect the sunset. See that? Little tiny waves that reflect the sunlight. Alright, so I think I've explained to you where I'm going with this. This is also really good up by the dock. So I think I've got those worked out. And then, as I told you before, part of this exercise is to practice using upholstery fabrics. And I got these free from the Myrtle Beach Quilt Party, and I'm going to use these. And look at this. Doesn't that look like a rustic old dock? So I'll be using these as part of the dock. Alrighty. One thing I've got to decide, here is the star of this, and he's going to be the great blue heron, but I've got to decide how much will he be seen, because in front of a bright sun things tend to look dark, so I'll have to work with that as I do it. I'm not really sure. I invented having him on the dock, but the dock here in these colors, it's pretty well seen, so I think I might go ahead and do him. And I'm going to do thread painting to have all the little feathers here. I'm excited about that. Alright, so that is this for this week. I have a feeling by next Sunday the top will be complete, and then it'll just be a matter, but I've got to decide how big to make the lame. But see how I'm cutting it out wiggly to look like the wave action. So, okay. Alright. So, got that. Now I'll move this out of the way. And don't forget, you can get your own copy of this Lucky Shamrock block. And what you're going to do is you're going to take, alright, my iron's still hot, not quite, but what I do, you can take, if you wanted, you can take and cut these diagonally so that you can place them on. And in fact, for these blocks, you're making half square triangles. So they said, cut it in half. And I say, it's too much work. Because I hate sewing. I hate sewing triangles together. Now I look at the batik and decide which side do I think is prettiest, and this side is. So I'm going to put the right sides together like this. Then I'll bring my iron over. So this is, I saw this from the Quilt Show. Thank you to the Quilt Show for pointing this out. And thank you for Fig Tree and Company for making this free, wonderful pattern. It's by Joanna Figueroa. Okay, so there. If you look, I very carefully folded it in half on the diagonal. Alright, so, and then these, I'm going, instead of drawing on them, I am going to iron those on a diagonal, being very careful with my fingers. So that will get done on the diagonal. Then I'm going to come back to these two. Iron them nice and flat. Then I'm going to make sure all the edges are nice and even. I'm going to fold that on the diagonal, making sure that the edges are nice and sharp on that point. Okay, so now when it comes to sewing, I've already got the line. So now I'm going to bring this over. Let me put my gray thread back on this. And I'm just kind of doing a little run through. You probably already are familiar with these kind of sewing. And I tell you too that with me doing, okay, let me pull this out. Your sizes might change. If they ask for you to sew triangles together, then I just make the block bigger because I'm going to do it as half square triangle. So I took, and instead of cutting, it says here, it says to cut a 4-inch square. Okay, and then they wanted you to cut it in half on the diagonal. But I don't know of anyone who likes to, I'm going to turn it to the plainer side so I can see the line really good. But I don't know of anybody who likes to sew triangles because you sew just 1/4 of an inch on this side of the line. No one likes to sew triangles because you've got a bias edge to deal with, and that's just plain yucky. So what I did is I made the blocks, instead of 4 inches, I made them 4.5. And that way I can always trim them down to the perfect size. Okay, so that is done. Oops. All right. And there's one other block I would definitely like you to see. Alright, what I do when I trim these is I kind of come in and take out that little point. See that? I do it on both ends. And normally I've done it so many times that usually I do one side, keep going up here, then I veer to the one side and then back. And what that does is that eliminates the bunny ears, they call them. So let me go ahead and iron this real quick and I'll show you what I mean. By cutting that little V at the end of that, it prevents having overhanging bunny ears. And then, so now there are 2 of the blocks made. Now, to do this, understand you might make more blocks than you wanted because you're not exactly cutting everything just right. Now, I forgot that there is, it says here from a solid tone-on-tone green print. Because I have a feeling all these blocks are going to be trimmed down to 3.5 maybe. Alright, so they want me to use more solid 3.5. So I'm going to cut it bigger, then iron it and cut it to perfect size. Okay. They wanted a solid or tone on tone, and I'll show you. That's going to be a little bit tricky, so I wanted to do that one for you. Alright. So here we are. And on my desk here, on the front of this desk, I have a tape measure. So I can look and see exactly how big this is supposed to be. and I cut it 4 inches. Pretty darn good. You know, when you've been sewing as long as I have, it gets easier and easier to estimate. Maybe that's why I'm not the best piecer, because I do too much estimating. Okay. Trim a little off each side. Now, normally I would put this on my... Well, I still can. Hold on. It's much nicer and easier to use the rotary cutter. And I've told you before, when I started quilting, we didn't know anything about rotary cutters. So, let me see. Okay, so 3.5. Okay, then I'll cut it 3.5 this way. And it's nice to be able to cut the edges nice and smoothly. Because when I cut them with the scissors, they're not very smooth, straight, square. Alright, so put this down on the line here so I can see exactly where 3.5 is. Okay, right here. Alright, so now here is my 3.5 inch piece. And what I'm going to do is iron it down the middle just to make sure, in case I need that. And I'll be right back to show you. What you're going to do is, this is the block that's going to make the stem. Alright, so what you're going to do is you take your green block here, and then you take one of your 3 3.8 inch squares, and you match it up to this corner, and then you're going to sew just barely inside that line, because then you're going to flip it up and over. Okay, so let me quickly do that, and then we've got show and tell coming up. Okay, head straight down. Okay, straight down here, like that. And that way, when I go to flip it over, I've got enough room. So let me do that really quickly. And then take the other one and put it in the opposite corner. Okay, so this one you place firmly in the opposite corner. And then I'm going to come along and do the same thing. Take one thread on this side of that diagonal line, so it has room to turn over, no problem. And just go straight, barely inside that diagonal line, all the way down. Okay, and there's the stitching. And now this folds over, and look, you've got a stem. So it's really not hard. I just thought it might help for you to be able to see it. Now, so now we've got the stem block, and we've got 2 of these blocks, but there's a problem. That doesn't look like a shamrock shape. So what we're going to do is you come in with these little 1.25 inch blocks. You put this here, and you're going to stitch just barely inside this diagonal line, and this is how you're going to make it look like a shamrock. Very, very simple. Just barely inside that diagonal line. Okay. just barely. Okay. And there, I've stitched across this. There, this is the first part of the shape. It's important to know which direction this is going. And I'll show you too that this, okay, and I need to, well, let me go ahead and do the other two little ones real quickly so it looks more like a shamrock. You put them in this with the seam going up here, put one here and then one on each side. Okay, but you leave one side just as it is, and I'll show you why. Okay. It's important to sew just exactly on the right place. And then the other one's going to go on this side. Put it right up in that corner. Let me double check this. Let me see. No, it's pretty good. It looked a little bit long. I think it's just barely a little long. Alright, so I'll put this one here, up in this corner, do the diagonal sewing again. Alright. And then let me iron this real quick, and then I will show you how easy this is. And you take and you cut off the two back layers like this, leaving just the front. And this one was a little bit longer. Okay. Alright, so now this is more of a shamrock shape. See that shape? And then this one, you will be trimming the back two. Now one thing I forgot to do, I should have trimmed this down before I put these on it. But I'll figure that out. Alright. So then I come in here, take off the back two layers here, and this is the stem block. And so this will be, you'll have two other shamrock leaf. Whoop, turn it the right way. There we go. So you will have, whoop, bring it up a little. You will have two more shamrock leaves, and that is your quilt. And you can do it pillow size, you can do it wall hanging size, whatever makes you happy. So now it is time for, let me pick up all my mess, this is time for show and tell, and wait till you see how good this works. I'm really tickled with it. And I just want to take a moment to thank Mark again, because he has been wonderful in working on this. Let me put this back over here. Alright, and now go to the main screen. And then hit the sound off so we don't get echoes. And I will get ready to do our show and tell. I'll get ready. I'm going to bring it up. And thank you for people who sent me pictures. You've been sending me pictures of your new work. Okay, ready? Okay. Here we are, and now desk. Okay, can you hear me now? All right. So the first one was wonderful Alberta and her wonderful Bargello brick quilt and placemats. Now, remember the picture I showed you? I don't know why. Hold on.
You gotta drag that over, remember?
I tried opening it here.
Don't.
Okay, good. No? No.
Grab where it says that 0J.
Oh, okay.
Now grab the 0J cab, drop, and pop it to the top.
Okay.
Pop it to the top.
Okay.
Now that's what.
Now, okay. Thank you, Mark, for rescuing me again. But this, I love this, and it reminds me so much of the Carolina lily. In fact, you know what? I don't think this is not the Carolina lily. I think this is a new one. So, I love that. And now, look at this. This is Bonnie's, and I love her work. I love it. And here is an art quilt she made of a kit of one of her beloved cats. And this is Dan's quilt for their reenactment that they do. I love this. And evidently, I don't know if it's made with some wool or what, but she said it was hard on her hands to do. So Bonnie, as usual, you did a beautiful job. All right, so now go back to show and tell, and whose turn is it now? Let me see. We'll show you the last week of Miss Julie's wonderful Hunter series. I just am so impressed with our Miss Julie. So impressed. Okay, and then we'll go past her church in the snow. Beautiful. And the quilt she made for her son, and of a hunter out in the woods, in the snow. That's lovely. Thank you, Miss Julie. Okay. Now, let's see. All right, that was Julie. Miss Mary. This is, I think it was her final paper piece block. I love it. She did such a good job with that. Her quilts always have such a happiness about them. And then I can't wait for you to see the next one. And that is where I gave her one of my former mystery quilts that I no longer wanted to do. And look at what she's done to it. It is gorgeous. It is so much prettier than anything I would have thought. Look at that. Look at that. Maybe, Miss Marcia, I should send you my shamrock fabrics and let you finish making it. But isn't that lovely? So way to go. I'm just so proud of our Mary. All right. So let me close that out. Whoops. Okay. Now, who is next? I think, let me see, I think Vicky had some. Oh yes, Miss Vicky had some. Oh my gosh, Miss Vicky, she has been quite busy lately. I love this quilt. This is Joy. All of these animals on the lovely farm with that barn and the mountain in the background and a bald eagle and a lovely tree by the edge of a little babbling brook. Isn't this just joy personified? I love that. I love that. Okay, let's see the next one. I love that she has taken to just doing, it's almost like a daily challenge. Can I do this? And it looks like here that she took the pattern on the fabric and coordinated embroidery to go with it. How cool is that? Okay. Wonderful. And then look at this owl. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. I love it. I love that fabric. But isn't that awesome? All right. Now, let's see the next one. She's got a brand new one too. She sent me. And look at this. This reminds me of the dot mandalas that I do. And she embroidered that. Look at that. That's a whole new way to look at hand embroidery, isn't it? Brilliant. Brilliant. And look at this. That's beautiful. And I'm glad she showed us the background so you could see the quilting on it. Very, very nice. I love all the Celtic designs. Celtic knot, all of that. Oh, look at this. How cute is that? Don't you just love baby quilts? So wonderful. Now let me see. I think I did that, all of that. So that was the last of our show and tell today. So now I need to come back up to the main screen. Wasn't that easy? Wasn't that? I didn't have to turn off lights. It was great. So, okay, here we go. Here we go. The last thing. So, thank you, Miss Bonnie. I love my embroidery book. And today, we're doing a pattern that is quite perplexing. But I know how to do it. I'm just not very coordinated. So let me quickly show you this. And it's going to be out of yellow today. And I need a long needle. Okay. Well, I'll do the flower in a moment. Let's start with something easier, and I'll bring you back over here to do this. Okay, I started to reach the old camera. Oops, sorry. Sorry about the echo. Thank you. I bet you Mark will have this figured out before next week. I bet you. Aw, I want it to work. I don't enjoy working on it. I just want it to work. Okay, here we go. Yay! I turned the sound on, so hopefully that's good. All right. Oops, I'm doing this upside down. Let me turn it around. Whoops, let me turn it around this way. I'm giving this little new camera, it was only $40. I'm giving it quite the workout. Okay, let me get the lighting over here. And this is the tricky one that I'm going to show you. But first, let's go down and we're going to be working on, let me get it down nice and low. We're going to be working on a chain stitch for the stem, okay? So I've got this part of the thread coming out of this loop. I go back down where that thread's coming out, then I move a little forward and come back out here like that. and then I pull it gently, leaving a loop here. This is called a chain stitch, and it's good for stems. And so I come here like this, there. And then the thing that feels odd is you go back down in that hole you just came out of, then you move the needle forward like this, and I'm going to go ahead and flip that over it so I will already have that loop when it gets pulled. I'm too impatient. I like kind of doing these the easy way. So going in that hole, coming back out forward of that stitch, I'm going to just put that thread over there like that, and then pull it out. Okay, so that is the chain stitch. Now I told you I would show you today, so I'm going to go back under and come out over here. I'm going to show you the fishbone stitch. So I come in, come out at the point. You notice when I drew the shape of the leaf, I put a line down the middle because, let me bring this up just a touch, okay, because I'm going to take the needle, I'm going to come down to about right here, so almost halfway down, and I'm going to come on that side, that side of the center guide. Then I'm going to come back over on this, make the needle come up next over here, and I'm going to go over and come to this side of that line, okay? And this is all this stitch is, but I love the way it looks when you're done. Come up there and go across. Okay. Then I come back, and you just switch sides. Switch the sides. Go back and forth, and you decide how close you want your threads to be together. If you want a leaf that is full of thread, then you can do that. And now I'm going to start moving the stitches down as I go. Come back over here. Oops, I'm off the camera. Sorry. Come back over here. And come a little bit further down on this side. Let me bring this up a little. It's right hard for me to see. Okay, so basically you're just going to go across the center line. You're going to come up here and go across that equator. But this stitch looks so pretty when it's done. It's a very, very pretty stitch. It's one of my absolute favorites. It's a shame it's got such an odd name, but it's one of my favorites. And you can look up any of these stitches, and somebody on YouTube has already put a video out for it, so it's wonderful. And as I said, I'm a very inexperienced embroiderer, and so I'm learning this as I'm trying to show you. Alright, so you kind of get the drift of this one, and you just fill it in all the way to the bottom like this. I think it's really pretty. And then you see right here, this is one of those fish bones, so it's quite lovely. I think I'm going to need a better light on this camera. Alright, so now I'm going to secure this needle so it's out of my way. Alright, Whoops. That's not out of my way. That's in a dangerous place. Yay. Okay, now that's out of the way. Now what I'm going to do is come up here, put this thread down, and re-thread this one because I can't get far enough with this little piece of thread. So I'm just going to go ahead and put a knot on the back. I don't care. All right. Now, for my special trick at this point, you won't believe what I'm going to use. So, all right, nice long piece. You need a long needle, long piece of floss, and I'm using all 6 strands. I'm finding that for these 3Ds, it's just better and easier to do all 6 strands. Uses up a lot of floss though, but I probably have more than I'll ever need. Oh, come on. Oh, come on, you can do it. Come on, thread. Well, I'll tell you what. When in doubt, use a needle threader. Okay. Now this is an interesting stitch, and I probably need a thinner straw too because the stitch is a little big. Alright, so when in doubt, okay, and now just pull that off. I always hold the metal because these things break so easily. I hate that. Alright, so now it's a much bigger piece of yarn or floss than I would normally do, but you'll see why in just a minute. Okay, so here we go. There are going to be, I think, 6 of these so-called petals by the time I'm done. All right, now I'm going to come away. Let me see. I'll come out here, come to this line right there, pull it the knot, then take 2 quick little stitches. This is so I don't have the knots on the back, which I'm trying to do this the right way to show y'all, but this is prissy work, and I'm not good with prissy work. Okay, so I'm going to bring this here and come out right there. Now, the one thing I'm going to do, if any of you have ever done knitting and things, you'll know what the cast on stitch is. And let me try to get enough. I need more yarn or floss down here. And I told you, I am very new and clumsy at this. Okay. Now, let me see how to make the thread longer. Okay, good. Okay, so now let's see how I can do. Let me move this a little closer to the light. All right, the thing you first do is you push the needle. This is why you need a long needle. You put your hand under this, your finger, and you take the thread and you do a cast on. Okay, does this look familiar to anyone? You do a cast on stitch. Okay, then you take your cute little straw and you do another cast on stitch. You see how you twirl it around your finger? But just to make it easier, I'm going to show you. Just take that loop and put it over the straw and pull it down to near the bottom and tighten it pretty good. Now this is where it gets tricky because you're trying to hold on to the hoop, and the girl who does it on YouTube is amazing. But you just turn it to a loop, pull it on, pull it down to the other one, tighten it. See how I turn that over? Which makes, it's called a cast on stitch. And I remember doing this. Okay, turn the loop, put it over the thing. And if you're really good at it, you can kind of come like this and do it. But I'm not really good at it. Okay, so that's 5 and I need 10. So I'm just going to turn the loop, put it on, 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 and I think I need one more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep, one more. 10. Okay, so now you pull it tight, you hold it here, you pull off the straw while you're holding that, then you take and pull the needle through all of those cast on stitches. Whoops, what? Huh. I don't know what this is doing. Let me see. There, I was pulling on the wrong part. But you tighten this all up like this. Then you tighten this down here and you come back up, smoothing those out. Now I'm going to do this. I forgot exactly how she tightens this down. Okay, then I'm just going to do this extra thing because I forgot exactly how she got the needle up there again. Maybe I'm supposed to come back down here. I'll try that. And then do the same thing as you did before, which is come out here like this. And do a cast on stitch by twisting like that. And that holds it in place. Then, this is for the other half of the petal. Then put your straw on again. You got the needle inside that. You loop it. You put it over the straw. You bring it down near the bottom and tighten it. Do another turn. Flip, make that loop. Put it over the top. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and one more. 10. Oh, come on, thread. And 10. Okay, then you pull that tight like this. You slide the straw off while you're holding the stitches. You pull it through like this. Okay, holding those stitches firmly. Okay, then you come and bring your stitch back down to the bottom. Okay. And then what you do when you get them both down at the bottom, you put a little anchoring stitch right there between the two so they'll stay there together as one petal. So you come up like this in between them. I thought I pulled that thread off. Hold on just a second. I notice I've pulled a pucker in this, so I've got to be careful, stretch it back out. But now I'm going to come up between the two halves like this and anchor them right there. All right, and so when you open them like this, you get that cute little, to me it kind of looks like a butterfly, but this is called a cast-on stitch flower. And here are 2 petals. You have another one, 1, 2, 3. So I guess there are 5 of them. And then what she would do with both of these, I might take and put little matching beads in the center to be the little stamens. So that's today's stitch. And the chain, FishBone, and the cast-on stitch petal. Now, when you go to look for this person, please know that hers are much neater and prettier and tidier than mine. But as I said, I am learning. So, okay, so there we go. All right, everyone, let me come back to the main camera. Whoops, where am I? Let me find my... Oh, here it is. Here we are. So, I'm exhausted. Doing a new program, and oh my goodness, that stitch is a tricky one, isn't it? Well, that's a tricky one, isn't it? I know that I'll have the reverb figured out by next week, so don't worry. Either I will have practiced with it like it is, or we'll have figured out what in the world is going on. But I wish you a great, great week. This week, I want to get that sparrow quilt off the frame. I want to put the border on the stencil quilt. And I want to see if I can get all of the strips on my narrow strip SeaScape, because I'm liking it very much. And I need to pack, because then the week after I'm going to retreat. But don't worry, I'm not going to miss any shows. I'm doing a show Sunday before I go on Monday. Mark's going to hold down the fort for me here. And then I'll be back Saturday in time to go out and celebrate birthday. The birthday of my daughter's very sweet man, Andy. And so we're going to go out to dinner with them. And then Sunday I'll be here to do a show with you. So that's the next 2 weeks planned out. Thank you, everyone, so much. You know what? You're right, Mary. That stitch would be a wonderful peony, which is my favorite flower. So have a very good week. I'm definitely taking off tomorrow. I've been working a lot, and I'm exhausted. I had a hard time getting out of bed this morning. Mark and I we keep saying, we're going to go to bed, we're going to go to bed. We stay up later and later. So, oh, thank you, everyone. And thank you to Mark. He makes this happen. I had the idea, and I come up with the sewing, but he makes it happen. Oh, he's a great one, isn't he? He truly is the wind beneath my wings, and this would not be possible without him. So am I lucky or what? Everyone have a great week. Do something fun just for you. Now enjoy my new ending stream. Bye-bye.